Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a day where your body was still, but your mind felt like it was sprinting a marathon? Where even in total silence, you still could not hear peace? That was me. I was overwhelmed, exhausted, and quietly afraid that maybe this was just what adulthood feels like now. Always on, always busy, always behind. I had tried everything: breathing techniques, meditation apps, journaling, podcasts, and yet nothing lasted. I could feel temporary calm, but never real peace. Until one afternoon, I sat down with my 90-year-old grandma. She does not own a smartphone. She writes letters. She cooks everything from scratch. She remembers wars, weddings, winters without heat, and the first time she saw color television. But more than all of that, she carries something I had been searching for. A calm that feels solid, a presence that feels anchored, a peace that is real. So I did something I should have done a long time ago. I turned off my phone. I turned off the world, and I asked her, honestly and openly, how do you stay so peaceful in a world that's anything but peaceful? And what she shared with me that day was not advice. It was not a list of tips or hacks. It was something far more timeless. It was a way of seeing, a way of being, and it changed everything for me. These are the 6 secrets my grandmother taught me, and I truly believe if you listen closely, one of them might change something for you too. So take a deep breath. Stay with me, because the 6th secret is the one most of us forget, and maybe the one we need the most. Secret number 1. The anchor in the storm. When I walked into Grandma's house that day, I could feel the world shift. Outside, the city was loud, fast, impatient. But inside her little brick home, it felt like stepping into another rhythm, slower, softer, quieter. The air smelled like old books and lemon tea. No background music, no buzzing notifications, just stillness. Not silence, stillness. And yet, I was anything but still. I sat down across from her, my mind still racing with emails, headlines, unfinished conversations, and the long list of things I should be doing. My shoulders were tight, my jaw was clenched, my leg wouldn't stop bouncing. I didn't even know how to start, so I just blurted it out. Grandma, I don't know how to slow down anymore. My mind is always running. I wake up tired, I go to bed restless. Even when I sit still, I feel like I'm moving. I look at you, and you just seem so calm. How do you do it? How are you not overwhelmed by everything? She looked at me with the kind of eyes that have seen too much to be surprised by anything. No judgment, no quick fix, just a knowing smile. And then she said gently, "You've carried the storm all the way here with you, haven't you, dear?" She got up slowly and returned a minute later with 2 mugs of hot tea. She placed one in my hands and said, "Before we fix anything, let's just sit. Before we talk about the past or the future, let's come back here and breathe." I must have looked confused because she chuckled softly and said, "I know, it sounds too simple, but we've forgotten how powerful simple can be. Just breathe, sweetheart. Let your breath remind you where you are." There was no app, no timer, no fancy technique. She simply guided me in the warmest, calmest voice. Feel the air come in? Notice it. Feel your chest rise. Now, feel it leave. That's it. That's all you have to do in this moment. When your thoughts try to pull you away, and they will, just smile and say, "Ah, there you are," and come back to your breath. At first, it felt impossible. My brain didn't want to stop. It fidgeted, it wandered, it argued. But slowly, something shifted. I noticed how my shoulders dropped just a little, how the warmth of the tea grounded my hands, how one moment of attention gave me a pause I hadn't felt in years. After a while, Grandma said, "I learned this when your grandfather was sick. I couldn't change what was happening. I couldn't plan the future, but I could sit. I could breathe." Each breath became a tiny island in the ocean of fear. I clung to those islands, and they carried me through. That's when it clicked. Breathing wasn't just something I did automatically. It was something I could use, a way to anchor myself right in the middle of chaos. The storm didn't stop, but I didn't have to be swept away by it. And maybe neither do you. So, let's pause and reflect. When was the last time you simply sat and followed your breath, without trying to change anything, fix anything, or achieve anything? What would it feel like to just be for a moment? Secret number 2, tending to the now. After we finished our tea, Grandma stood up, wiped her hands on her apron, and said, "Come on, the garden needs us." I followed her out the back door, expecting maybe a short stroll or a few quiet minutes in the sun. But what I got was a lesson I didn't know I needed. Her garden wasn't big. It wasn't fancy. It didn't look like something from a magazine, but it was alive. Tomato plants leaning toward the light, flowers blooming in stubborn little corners, and weeds, plenty of them, popping up where they weren't invited. She handed me a pair of worn-out gloves and pointed to a patch near the roses. "Let's start here," she said. My mind immediately kicked into overdrive. I started scanning the whole yard. What needed trimming, what needed watering, how much time we had. I was already 3 steps ahead. She saw it in my face and gently touched my arm. "Just this one," she said, pointing to a single weed. "Right now, this is the only thing in the whole world that matters." I knelt down and grabbed the weed. I could feel its root gripping the soil. I noticed how sharp its leaves were, how deeply it had dug in. And slowly, the noise in my head started to quiet. "The world tells you to do 10 things at once," Grandma said. "But that's how you end up doing 10 things badly and remembering none of them." Real peace isn't found in speed. It's found in presence. When you wash the dishes, just wash the dishes. When you eat your lunch, just eat your lunch. When you're with someone, really be with them. That's where life is, right here, not in your next task, not in your next worry. We kept pulling weeds for a while, and I tried to stay with each one. I noticed the way the earth crumbled between my fingers, the scent of the soil, the quiet hum of bees nearby. That moment taught me more about mindfulness than any app ever could. Not because I was sitting still, but because I was paying attention. And maybe that's the secret. You don't have to go on a retreat. You don't need candles or silence or a yoga mat. You just need to give your whole heart to one moment at a time. What's one thing in your day, something small, something ordinary, that you could do with your full attention? What would change if you treated that one task like it mattered deeply? Secret number 3, welcoming the clouds. Later that afternoon, the sky turned soft and gray. A light rain began tapping on the windows. Grandma reached down, pulled out a large leather-bound photo album, and placed it on the coffee table between us. She opened it slowly. Page by page, her life unfolded. There were black and white wedding photos, grainy snapshots of babies who would become my aunts and uncles, birthday candles, quiet Sunday mornings. And then, gaps. Moments where people vanished from the pictures, smiles that stopped showing up, faces I recognized, and then missed. I felt something tighten in my chest. "Doesn't this make you sad, Grandma?" I asked. "All the people who aren't here anymore? All the years that are gone?" She didn't rush her answer. She just turned another page, looked at it softly, then said, "Oh yes, sadness still comes to visit. So does grief. So does worry. But the key is to treat them like guests. They can knock at the door, but I don't have to set a place for them at the table." She looked out the window at the rain and said, "Your thoughts and emotions, they're weather. And you are the sky." That sentence changed something in me. All my life, I had been trying to fight off anxiety, push away sadness, silence fear. I thought strength meant conquering those feelings. But Grandma wasn't fighting them. She was welcoming them. "You don't get mad at the sky for having a cloudy day," she said. "You just notice it. You don't yell at the rain. You don't rush the sun to come back. You let it pass. You wait. And eventually, the clouds move on." I had spent years waging war with my own emotions, and I was losing. Not because I was weak, but because I was trying to fight something that wasn't meant to be fought. Grandma taught me that peace doesn't come from eliminating hard feelings. It comes from allowing them, from saying, "Oh, there you are again," and letting them drift through like clouds across an open sky. Secret number 4, the wisdom of the rising bread. As the rain softened to a gentle mist, Grandma stood up and said, with a little sparkle in her eye, "Time to make the bread." Her famous sourdough. I had watched her do it dozens of times over the years, but I had never really paid attention. Today, I would. She moved with ease and patience, measuring flour, feeding the starter, mixing slowly with her hands instead of using a mixer. No rush, no shortcuts, just presence. I shifted in my chair, watching the dough come together, and asked, "Can I help? Is there a faster way?" She laughed, not unkindly. "Faster doesn't make it better, dear. The bread will rise when it's ready. You can't rush it. If you try, it'll be dense and tough." Then she covered the bowl gently with a cloth and set it in a warm corner. "Now," she said, "we wait." I don't wait well. I fidgeted, checked my phone, even though I had promised not to. My mind wanted to move on, to do something, anything. She noticed. "Your generation," she said kindly, "has forgotten how to wait. You want results, not rhythm. But the best things in life, bread, love, healing, they all take time. Patience," she continued, "isn't just sitting still. It's trusting the process." What struck me most, she wasn't being passive. She wasn't giving up control. She was giving up the illusion of control. She had done her part, mixed the ingredients, cared for the dough. Now, she had to let it be, let it rise in its own time. It reminded me of so many things I've tried to rush: my career, my relationships, my healing. I wanted to fix everything now, but real transformation, like real bread, can't be forced. "The dough is becoming something," she said. "You just can't see it yet." I realized that most of my stress wasn't coming from how long things took. It was coming from how hard I fought the waiting. Let me ask you this. Where in your life right now are you trying to rush something? Could you take a breath and trust that it's rising, even if you can't see it yet? Secret number 5, choosing where you live. The bread was in the oven now, filling the house with that deep, comforting smell that always made me feel 6 years old again. We sat by the window, watching the last light of the day stretch across the sky. The rain had stopped. Everything was still again. We sat for a while without speaking. And then I asked the question that had been sitting quietly inside me all day. "Grandma, if you had to choose just one lesson, just one truth out of all the things you've learned in 90 years, what would it be?" She turned her head slowly, looked me right in the eyes, and said something I'll never forget. "You get to choose where you live." I blinked. "You mean like, what town to live in?" She smiled gently. "No, sweetheart. I mean, where you live? In here." She tapped her temple, then placed her hand over her heart. "Most people live in a house called yesterday, full of old furniture, old regrets, old stories they've told themselves so many times. They start to believe they can never leave. Others live in a house called tomorrow. It's filled with things that haven't happened yet. Worries, plans, fears, hopes. They spend all their time decorating that house, even though they don't know what it will look like when they get there. Then she looked around the room, the glow of the sunset, the ticking of the old clock, the rising warmth from the oven. But life, real life, only ever happens in one house, the one called now. That sentence hit me like a soft hammer to the chest. You can visit the past, she said, and remember the sweet things. You can plan for the future and plant seeds in the soil. But if you want peace, real peace, you have to move in. You have to live in the present. That moment cracked something open in me. I realized I had been commuting through my life, mentally traveling between yesterday and tomorrow, never actually arriving anywhere. The breath? That's how you unlock the door. The garden? That's how you fill the space with care. The clouds? That's how you make room for change without fear. The bread? That's how you learn to trust the timing. But this was the blueprint, the invitation to stay. You don't need to run anymore, she said softly. You're already home. I thought peace was something I had to earn, that I'd reach it once I achieved more, solved more, did more. But she showed me, peace isn't a finish line, it's a choice. It's where you decide to place your attention. If your mind were a home, where have you been living lately? Are you stuck in old rooms filled with regret? Or pacing through halls built out of worry? What would it feel like to unpack your bags and finally settle into the room called now? Secret number 6, the room you share. The sun had dipped below the trees now. The light in the house had shifted, golden, quiet, tender. The bread was cooling on the counter, and the day was winding down the way only a peaceful day can. We sat side by side on the couch, the photo album now closed on the table, the teacups nearly empty. And then, Grandma said something that surprised me. You know, she whispered, as if sharing a secret, none of this matters if you keep it all to yourself. I looked at her, not sure what she meant. She gently tapped her chest with her palm. All the stillness, all the breath, all the wisdom, it's not meant to be locked up inside. The most beautiful room in your house, your inner house, is the one you open to others. She took my hand and held it in hers. Her skin was soft, warm, paper thin. 90 years of living had passed through that hand. You can practice mindfulness in silence, but the deepest kind of peace shows up in presence, with others. She paused and then added, when you truly listen to someone, when you sit with them, without rushing them, without fixing them, when you look them in the eye and let them know they matter, that is the highest form of presence. That moment hit me hard. I had spent so much time looking inward, trying to find peace for myself. But Grandma reminded me, peace isn't something you hoard, it's something you share. Peace multiplies when it's given, she said, even if it's just in a smile, or a phone call, or 10 quiet minutes with someone who's lonely. She told me how, after Grandpa died, people kept saying things like, stay busy, keep your mind off it, don't dwell. But one friend, just one, came and sat with her in silence. No advice, no distractions, just presence. That, she said, meant more to me than 100 casseroles. I thought about all the times I'd listened with half an ear, checked my phone during conversations, nodded without really hearing. And I thought about what it would mean to be truly with someone, to offer the same calm I had been chasing, not just to myself, but to others, to let my stillness become their shelter, to stop performing peace and start practicing it in my relationships. Grandma smiled, almost reading my thoughts. You don't have to fix the world, she said. Just offer your peace to the part of it that's sitting right in front of you. And then she squeezed my hand and looked at me with that soft, steady gaze I will never forget. This moment we're sharing, this is what it's all about. Don't miss it. These are the rooms you'll remember. All the techniques in the world mean little if we forget the people we love. If we're not fully there for them. If we don't open the door and say, "Come in. I'm here, I'm really here." This final secret wasn't about breath or gardens or thoughts or patience. It was about presence with people. Because peace is not just found in solitude. It's built, moment by moment, in connection. Ask yourself this. Who in your life needs your presence today? Not your advice, not your fix, but your stillness, your quiet attention? What would happen if you showed up fully for them, even just for 10 minutes? An extra truth. You're not alone in this. After I left Grandma's house that evening, I didn't turn on the radio. I didn't scroll through my phone. I just drove. Windows down, breeze on my face, heart quiet in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. But as I sat at a red light on my way home, I suddenly thought about something she didn't say out loud, but I could feel it in everything she shared. You are not the only one searching for peace. That quiet ache inside of us, the longing for stillness, for presence, for something slower and deeper, it's not just yours. It's not just mine. It's woven into being human. We don't talk about it often. We talk about achievements, progress, schedules. We talk about how busy we are, how tired we are, how much we still have to do. But underneath all of that noise, so many of us are quietly asking, is there more to life than just getting through the day? Grandma's secrets weren't just about mindfulness. They were about remembering what we've forgotten, that life is sacred in its simplicity, that love is loudest in the quiet moments, that presence is the gift we are all craving, but also the gift we can all give. That's when I realized, we don't need to wait until we're 90 to live like this. We don't have to earn peace by surviving the hardest parts of life. We can choose it now. We can choose to breathe more slowly, to look people in the eyes when we talk, to take longer walks, say kinder words, sit in silence with someone who is hurting. And maybe, just maybe, we can become someone else's version of Grandma. Not by having all the answers, but by being calm when the world is loud, by being kind when others are rushed, by living in the present, not perfectly, but on purpose. You don't have to be wise to begin, Grandma might say, but you do have to begin to become wise. You're not alone in your search, and the wisdom you seek might already be inside you. As I pulled into my driveway that evening, the smell of Grandma's bread still lingered on my clothes. The sky was dark now, but I didn't feel tired. I felt whole. The world hadn't changed. There were still emails waiting, bills on the table, a phone full of messages. But something inside me had shifted. Because for the first time in a long time, I knew how to return to myself. I had a compass, not one that points north or south, but one that always points to now. Grandma gave me 6 simple truths, lessons so gentle they almost whisper. But they are powerful. Your breath is an anchor. Your attention is a gift. Your thoughts are weather. Your waiting has wisdom. Your presence is your home. And your peace is meant to be shared. You don't need to climb a mountain or escape your life to find peace. You just need to remember where to look. Right here, right now, in this moment. And if something in this story touched you, if it reminded you of your own grandmother or a mentor, or a quiet truth you've been holding on to, please share it. I would love to know, what's the greatest piece of wisdom an elder ever gave you? Maybe it was just one sentence. Maybe it was a look, a gesture, a memory that stuck with you for decades. Whatever it is, share it in the comments. Because we're all carrying pieces of someone else's wisdom, And when we share them, we remind each other we're not alone. And if you think someone you love needs this story, send it to them, not to give advice, but to give them the same quiet gift Grandma gave me, the reminder that they already have what they're searching for. They just need to come home to it. Peace isn't a place far away. It's a presence inside you, and it's waiting right now.